Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that's warming up for their turn to pitch in the ninth. My name's Nate Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host Ben Samorka.
Hi, everybody.
And
can I interject with a fun fact that I learned today?
Sure.
The last time two position players pitched in wins was 1918 for the Tigers. It was Ty Cobb and Bobby Veach.
Interesting. So two in like a period of time, or just like in a single season?
In a single season, sorry. Yeah, okay. I totally messed up that fun fact. And
that's all right.
Derailed the start of the show.
That's okay. What a fun... that was fun, though. Well, besides fun facts, this week we are talking about the recent call-ups of some highly touted prospects. We're talking about the health or lack thereof of the Cardinals, and we're going to be talking about the rotation as well as some news and notes from around the league. If you have an idea for the opening joke, tweet us at Talk About Birds. Well, Ben, another week down, getting deeper and deeper into the season.
Yeah.
How you doing this week?
The damn streaming, Nate. I'm pissed. The damn streaming.
Welcome to Old Man Corner.
I do want to take a moment to be an old man about this.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it. Let it out.
Well, there's too many platforms. Like the idea of being mad and then cowering as soon as asked about it. No, I mean the fact that the
you
Apple
need to
TV
back down. All right, you're going too hard.
I don't
streaming services.
I do feel bad for NBC. They've lost so much. No, I'm okay with the Apple TV thing because it's free. It is well advertised. I don't know how I feel about the idea that I get like a notification on my iPhone that game is coming up. But of course, being a baseball fan, that isn't so bad. I'm sure that people who don't care about the Cardinals Pirates game coming up are pretty annoyed by that. Maybe you can toggle that off. I'm okay with that. But when I found out that, so we have Peacock, or we have like an Apple TV Plus or whatever in our basement, and Peacock is on that, and we watch the SNL channel sometimes when we're like winding down. It just like is a rotating SNL channel that will play clips from early days to modern days and all that, and it's fun. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I thought, okay, that's fine. This is on Peacock. I'm going to look at the third streaming platform for this 3-game series. I'll survive. And when I log in and I find that it's only available for premium, which is $4.99 a month, I almost lost my mind. And I didn't think that it was true because I thought to myself, how could this possibly be the case? How could you need a subscription for this? I'm already paying for all these other things. And I just didn't watch the game. Like Mary was even talking about, like, I think we might have a free month or a free 6 months or something like that. And I old manned and I said, I don't want to watch this game. I'll watch the highlights whenever it's over. And they're posted to MLB.tv, the app and everything like that. But I find it insane. And I also find it insane that, like, I guess the lens I'm looking at this through is I don't know if there are more hardcore baseball fans than people like you and I, and I'm sure the people listening and the Cardinals faithful that we're generally talking to or whatever. And for someone like me to look at the option and basically say, no, I'm good. Who the hell's saying yes? Like who is opting into that?
Yeah. I guess the hope would be that they are bringing in fans that are subscribers. But I don't know, Peacock wouldn't be doing it if they didn't think people would start a subscription for it. I don't know. It's very strange. And yeah, it's definitely frustrating. We hear so much about the Manfred's desire to make the game more accessible and more for a younger generation and just like more fun. And it sure seems to me that this effort is incredibly counterproductive to that goal.
Yeah, oh, if I know Gen Z, it's that they're flocking to Peacock Premium or whatever it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, by the way, I got it once I halfway signed up for Peacock because I was like flirting with the idea of paying my $4.99. I got an email saying "Welcome to the flock," which also just made me mad for not a real reason, just like being
Yeah.
angry in the moment. It's like, I'm not in your flock. I'm not a
Don't
Peacock. What
don't
is?
welcome me to your flock.
Yeah,
I don't want to be a part
I
of this flock.
yeah.
I'm in
I
too many
just
other flocks.
yeah. Tweet. I talk about birds
Where
all
are my
day.
birds
I
at?
don't
Where all
need
we do is
I don't need another
Come to
bird to talk about.
the bird scored. That's the flock that I want.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating, and it really only serves one purpose, which is to provide more money to the owners.
Yeah.
And I think it hurts the game, and I see no upside to it.
Thank
Other
goodness
than,
Jimmy got a national audience, though, right?
oh yeah, the people needed to hear that. I actually listened to that game,
Yeah.
and I had the booth was uh, John Rooney, Rick Horton, and Dan McLaughlin went and
Yep.
joined the radio booth, and it was great. I thought that was a really good trio. I like all three of those guys already, and McLaughlin added a good sort of a good level of humor into that booth as well. So it was I'm sorry to the national broadcast, who just had Jim Edmonds, but the radio broadcast was great.
Yeah, we it is easy to complain about Jim, and he's like goes on cold streaks or boring streaks or text message streaks, but Dan should get as much credit as he is due. Like he is so
Yeah.
good, and he's funny, and he's knowledgeable. He keeps the game moving, and I also
Yeah.
think he still like allows good breathiness for when moments are happening. He doesn't stomp all over the game. Dan
Good
deserves more
breathiness.
credit. Yeah.
Yeah, I
What'd you say?
agree. His breathiness is
That's not the right word. That's like when you're talking like this. No,
yeah.
he's
That's
like
what it's the word you said. So
it is the word I said. No, it leaves
uh
space for the game to happen is what I meant.
yeah. Yes. That makes more sense. Yeah, he's great. Uh
Maybe I
there
shouldn't
was
be
that
criticizing the way anyone
yeah.
broadcasts right now.
I did hear Edmonds did a really good job on that broadcast. So I didn't watch it, but I heard he did a good job, which I'm not that surprised about. So I was installing a new patio area in my backyard. Patio is not the right word for it. I was putting down a new foundation to put a shed on, and so I was just burying bricks and listening to those three goofballs call the game, and it was great. I love listening to the game.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose between listening to Rick and Rooney and McLaughlin over Mr. or Mrs. National Announcer and Jimmy, I'd definitely take the three. Like I've said, I think
Yeah.
a 3-man booth. I think that it does a lot, or a 3-person booth is a lot of fun. I like the kind of playoff. So I listened to a little bit of that, but I was definitely being sour and
Salty.
obstinate for no real purpose other than
Just stomping around your basement, throwing your hat down, stomping on it. God
yeah,
damn it. Yeah.
I think I was hungover that day because we went to the Rockies game, and that's just apparently what I do. And then I talk about it here. But so I was excited to watch a Cardinals game because that's a great way to cure a hangover, and it just didn't happen.
Wow.
I think I watched that Taika Waititi pirate show instead. So here we
Ooh.
are.
What do you think of that?
It's pretty fun. Makes me want to be a pirate. I think I'd be a good pirate. Like not a scary one or one that would be good on the seas, but I think the fashion.
Sure. Okay, you could dress like a pirate. You can do that now. You don't have to. If you remove the act of being a pirate, all the other elements are currently available to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but that authenticity that the sea brings, I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll consider this.
If the podcast, goes well enough, maybe that's in your future, or goes so poorly that we have to resort to piracy at the sea. It still exists, although I don't think they're having quite as good a time as that show depicts.
No,
our flag means
that's
death.
Yeah, I think that show, it's like how The Office makes working in an office seem fun. I think it's the same for that show on a pirate ship.
Yeah. It's a cool show, though. I definitely recommend it. Our Flag Means Death, especially if you like that sort of Taika Waititi, New Zealand, gentle humor that they do
Gentle
so
humor.
well.
It is
You know what I
gentle
mean?
humor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. Reese Darby, he's great.
He's great.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I wish you all the best of luck dressing up as a pirate and,
Thank
chase
you.
your bliss, live your life. So why don't we talk some baseball?
No more streaming services.
No more streaming services. Um, but you know what? Streaming I do like to see is the stream of young players coming up
There
to the
we
Cardinals.
go. Professional broadcaster right there. That was an
Yep.
amazing
Wow.
transition. Yeah,
Wow.
let's get into it, right? Let the kids play.
Yeah. Once again, we nail our release time.
Yeah.
We have been talking about our frankly the disease, our Gormania, that has been pretty debilitating through most of the season. And we've been super hyped for this guy. Everyone is. He's one of the top
Yeah.
prospects in baseball. And we release on Thursdays, and like an hour, like I don't know, like right after we finished recording, or within a few hours of us finishing recording, all the news breaks that
Yep.
Gorman's getting called up. Hell yeah, losing our mind. And then Matt Liberatore also getting called up for a spot start, maybe more. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about why these guys have been called up in a little bit. But for now, this is just celebration time. Two guys that we've been super excited about. Gorman, we knew was going to be soon. We could tell the movement was happening. It seemed like it was likely. Liberatore, quite a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, Ali was definitely doing the signaling to the media and potentially, to the team, depending on how he likes to kind of walk that line. I don't think we totally know yet, but was definitely doing the signaling of talking about, Edmund can play short, and this is what this looks like, and here's where we feel confident, and this is what a potential lineup looks like. And then, as Nate was talking about on that Thursday, we hear he's doing a post game presser, and somebody asked him kind of an inane question, and he kind of answered it with an inane answer, and then goes, and also I just would like to be noting that this person is doing this and this person is doing this. And I think all the reporters started flipping out the fact
Yeah.
that Gorman and Liberatore are coming up at the same time. I do wonder, like, is Mo and Ali and the squad, are they buying into the narrative, or did this really make sense for the team? I think you could probably argue either way. But yeah, I think Gorman makes all of the sense, and he's looked great. We can talk about
Yeah.
that more. Liberatore was a surprise, though, not because he hasn't been good, but more I just didn't really expect him to be kind of the first man up. I would have assumed that a Jake Woodford would have got a
Right.
start before Liberatore. I would have assumed. I mean, even I know Oviedo's been bad, and I know I'm an Oviedo like rah guy, but he has kind of been the guy that they'll go up,
Yeah.
and even if he isn't starting fantastically, to come up and get innings. So I was very surprised to see Liberatore. I think to break down his start a little bit, wasn't awesome, but it was great to see him. And I also think you can, a guy's first big league start, I don't think there's anything you're going to glean from that other than, holy crap, he's here. He's taller than I thought he was. And some of those breaking balls looked really good.
Yeah, well, and also that whole game feels differently if Corey Dickerson doesn't just get
Corey
absolutely
Dickerson.
fooled by a ball in left field. Now,
How did
I don't
he
know.
win a gold glove?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that was a difficult play, but it did not look good, especially the slow jog chasing down the
Yeah.
ball as it rolls along the warning track. I think maybe Edmund should have also been over there more to support that. So I think there was multiple errors, that led to that. But that becomes a 2-run home run, uh, making Liberatore go from 2 earned runs on the game to 4. And if that ball just gets on and is played normally, or is even possibly caught, he gets through 5 in line for a win. The whole game is just different
Yeah.
if that one thing doesn't happen. But that's also baseball. Like if you go and remove
The ball also
one,
could have gone over the wall too. That wasn't that
yeah,
far from happening.
right. So I don't want to say completely discount it, but I thought he did look a little bit better than that final line suggests. And now that we know he is likely to get another start, I'm excited to see him get an opportunity to shake off the nerves and really try to establish himself at the big league level, because it certainly seems like there's opportunity one way or another for him to stick in the rotation. But let's talk about Gorman a little bit more,
Yeah.
because I mean that's the Liberatore we've been hyped about. But Gorman has been, the story of the Cardinal minor leagues outside of Moises Gomez a little bit, but that's kind of died down to some degree. Gorman has really been like the big story, and so far so good, right? It's we went through this with Yepez, super small sample size,
Yeah.
but like you can't ask for a lot more from a guy's first 3 games in the majors.
No, and I think you can obviously nitpick any rookie's performance, and Gorman definitely has some scabs and scars that we could talk about. That turn of the of Nolan's great play earlier against the Blue Jays, and throwing the ball, well over Goldschmidt's head. But I
Yeah.
think I've been he obviously has the arm for second base. He looks fine at second base. He's obviously not Tommy, but I think in the stat that I called out, or that I find to be kind of fascinating, is that through 5 games he already has 3 walks, and that is not Brendan Donovan numbers, but that is what we were worried about with Nolan Gorman. Is, does he know the strike zone? Is he going to swing wildly? Is he going to swing for the fences every time? And I think that we've seen a pretty steady approach, not to mention big exit velo off of his bat already. It is,
Yeah.
like Nate said, you don't count your chickens or anything like that. It is still super duper early, but the fact that he is not swinging wildly and the exit velo off his bat is still super high. I mean, those are things that you can pull out, and those are real, not
Yeah.
fluky things, I think, that you can kind of, put a star next to, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a real likely outcome that he got called up, and in his first series, he strikes out like 9 times,
Right.
right? Even though it's against the Pirates, still like, he has a huge strikeout profile, which guys don't typically improve when they break into the majors. Now, again, we'll see what it looks like when he faces some like consistent, constant, tough pitching. I mean, going up against Gosman and Barrios was,
Yeah.
was exactly that. Although Barrios has had a tough start to the season, but I expect the strikeouts to come. But hey, with what we have, it's looking good, and the Cardinals have essentially committed to saying, especially now with all of these injuries, he seems like he's going to get a lot of play at second base, just going forward.
Yeah, and why not, right? Like, he
Yeah,
absolutely should. And we'll talk about Brendan Donovan, but Brendan Donovan showed the ability to play all over the field and play all over the field well. So why not keep the high end prospect at the position that he is second most comfortable with? Obviously, he's
yeah.
not. I don't expect him to start at third, even on Nolan off days. I imagine they're just going to want to entrench
Just
him at second base.
keep him
But
at
yeah, I mean,
second. Yeah,
everything so far is so good. He's looking up at his Statcast data right now. He's got 12 events, and 5 of those events are hard hit balls. That's great. I mean,
pretty
this is
good.
what this
Yeah,
guy is supposed to do. He'll play defense fine enough, and he will hit the ever loving life out of the ball, and it's pretty fun. Also, I think like something that's kind of funny is we were definitely complaining about the unbalanced lineup early in the season, like how righty heavy it is, and now you look at a
yeah,
lineup on any given day, and it's pretty much 50-50 if you include the
yeah,
switch hitters, which is kind of fun.
yeah, yeah.
That
I
happened
mean,
quickly.
well, the whole lineup now, especially with Carlson and O'Neill being down, it's like half of Memphis is now
Yeah.
in the starting lineup, but in a good way. Like the guys that we wanted, Yepez, Gorman. I do think, just to go back to Brendan Donovan again, I kind of felt bad for him at first whenever Gorman got called up. It's like, what more does this guy need to do in order to earn a starting spot in the lineup? Like, did he just get replaced by Gorman, even though he's been absolutely terrific? And then it's turned out that he can play outfield. And when you
Yeah.
lose 2 of your 3 starting outfielders, there's plenty of chances out there. So he made a fantastic catch, maybe a game saving catch earlier this week that, I think just really highlighted that this guy seems to be effective at everything that he tries. He might not be like a superstar, but
Mhm.
like someone was calling him like the new Daniel Descalso, and that doesn't feel fair to Donovan to me because I feel
Right.
like he is uh, brings way more like a similar skill set of being able to do everything, but it seems like he can do it at a notch higher than what Descalso ever could have.
Yeah, and I think I agree with everything that you just said, but I will also put the big caveat of like I don't expect him, and nobody should expect him to continue playing at this level.
Of
Like if you
course.
pop open the hood and look a little deeper, he's definitely getting lucky at the plate. As far as like his batted ball luck and slugging luck and that kind of thing. That being said, he's walking at a great clip and playing defense at a
Yeah,
great clip, and those things stabilize really, really quickly. So I think there's good things that are going to or that we can reasonably expect to stick around, and there are great things that maybe will die back. But even if this guy is, I don't know, 90, 80, 70% of the player that we're seeing right now, that is a very,
it's
very good
still
player to have
yeah,
all over the field. Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
I think the defense has been probably the most shocking thing to me. We've talked about how good his arm is, but as you mentioned, the outfield play and the fact that he can play all over the infield has been. The Cardinals just didn't have a guy like that, especially from the left-handed side of the plate. So I think I'm appropriately jazzed. At
Yeah.
least I think.
It's fun. He's fun. This has been a really fun. We're coming off of winning, 5 of the 6 games that went over the last series. So uh, we're obviously in a good time as a Cardinal fan. The last week or so has been good. So we're hyped about everybody. But the Cardinals have been a lot more fun to watch recently with some of these guys.
They have, and I think also like I can't, and I'm just thinking like anecdotally in my little tiny brain right now, but I can't think of a time where
It's
the
tough.
Cardinals' offense has looked this strong for this long of a stretch. Obviously,
Yeah.
the pitching has some wanting, but I checked the numbers before we were hopping on the record today, and last time I talked about how they had the fourth best offense according to certain stats in May, and that is still true. They haven't lost a step. They are still hitting bombs. They are running all over the place. They're getting on base like it is a very fun offensive team to watch right now.
Yeah. Well, when you put up 18 runs in a game,
Yeah.
that helps juice the overall numbers, which they've done a couple times now. The 18-run game, the 15-run game where Pujols got to pitch, they've been able to score runs in bunches. There definitely is the hangover effect that the Cardinals seem to have had for years now has continued this year. At least anecdotally, it feels. I've done no research, but every time they have one of these huge games, feels like the next game they get completely shut out. But still, it's fun. Mentioned it in the beginning. Yachty pitched over this last week, which I hope that we have enough blowout games this year. I guess on either direction, but hopefully in the Cardinals' favor, where Yachty can play every position on the
Yeah.
field this season. How fun would that be? He's got the difficult one with pitching. Let's get him an inning at shortstop. Let's get him an inning in center field, and just let's see what happens.
I
Get the Akindo effect.
I was gonna say Okindo did that all in the same game once, right? Or am I making that up?
I don't think it was the same game, but it might
I,
be. I mean,
yeah,
that'd
I'll have
be
to look that one
incredible.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but
but yeah, like why not? And let's do the same for Pujols too. Same thing. Let's get them in every single position. How
would
about that
you?
2 home run game from Pujols coming off the bench?
It's funny you say that. I was just going to ask. So we're starting to sort of creep up on All Star season and Home Run Derby
Yeah.
season. Do you, what do you think about Albert Pujols being invited and participating in the Home Run Derby?
I would love it, but I would be very surprised if he does it and if he was even invited.
Yeah, I want. They should make that happen. I'm going to put that out in the universe right now, and I want that. I would
Yeah.
be so hyped on that.
Yeah. Where's the All-Star game again this year? Is it LA?
LA
Yeah.
Dodgers.
Well, he was a Dodger last year. They always try to do the narrative picks.
Yeah,
So I think you could, last season he was a Dodger last year. He's looking good or, all right, at least this year. Yeah, I mean, it's there. I wonder if he would want to do it the
Yeah.
way he's playing right
He's
now.
having fun though.
That's what I was gonna say. We titled our last episode about it. The old man smiles are
Yeah.
rich this year, and so that would definitely, hopefully be a lot of fun. But he might also just say like, no, I don't want to destroy my shoulder on the
Yeah.
in my last season.
Well, I'm gonna just add one more thing to it. I want to see that happen, and I want to see Yachty be his like BP pitcher
Yeah,
during that
that'd be
event.
awesome.
So I'm throwing that out into the universe. Universe, do what you will, but I'd like that to happen.
Yeah, same. Get at it, universe.
Yeah.
Wow. Innovating over here. Couple other guys have been called up. We had Junior Fernandez was called back up. Newt Bar, the Newt is loose. He's back, crushing it at AAA. What?
We don't say the Newt is loose. Do people say that?
I don't feel like I'm the first to have said that. I think I've
All right.
heard people say
Is it
that.
because the 0000? It's bad. I don't
Sure,
like it.
it's fun. It's fun to say. Say
All
it
right.
without hating it. Say it for fun.
I can't. I'll pull something. Yeah, I mean, like you already said, we're going to talk about why Newt is up here in a little bit. But yeah, what is there to say? Of course, I'm excited to have Newt back up. He plays well. He's been crushing AAA.
He had a
He
3
brings
home run
speed.
game.
Yeah, he brings speed. He brings defense. He brings young man smiles. I guess that's a different category that we should bring in.
I'm less
And
comfortable talking about young man smiles.
And Jimmy always talks about the flat swing path. I think maybe we'll see that produce, but unfortunately, we're in a spot where the outfield needs this. So I just hope he can come up and produce. But at least we know, or I think that we can be reasonable in our expectations for him to put together the proverbial big league at bat or whatever you want to call it, and be not I don't know, a
Overmatched or whatever.
downgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like he can be in
Yeah.
the starting lineup and you're fine, especially
Yeah.
against righties.
Yep. We also had Angel Rondon called up. Not his big league debut, but not far from it. And he got thrust into a really difficult spot after
Yeah.
Steven Matz was removed after 4 pitches.
Yeah.
Not great. And so he had just been called up, thrown out in the game. They had said that they were expecting, a pitch cap of maybe around 70, 75 pitches. Instead, he went into the 80s.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, what an effort. I mean, that was the game where they scored 18 runs or whatever. And so it kind of gets lost under the explosion of the offense. But really the player of the game, when you consider all of the circumstances around it, who knows how that game goes if it's suddenly a next man up bullpen game where you're throwing out 7-8 guys through the whole game. He basically did a starter's workload coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, and he looked great. He doesn't have like super maxi stuff, but he's got good movement. He's got good location. He was hitting the mitt over and over again, and I think exactly like especially for not even expecting this guy to be in the game and him to do what he did was very impressive. And I mean, maybe he is like that. That's the kind of performance that gets you a start down the road. When the next pitcher, either they want to give a guy an extra day off or whatever the hell happens. I wouldn't be surprised if Rondon gets catches a start after that, and maybe relatively soon with some of the injuries that have been popping up. But that I know it was the Pirates. That's all fine. He looked great.
Yeah.
And I guess really quick before we move on, Junior Fernandez. I kind of forgot what has he been up to, and he kind of just came out of nowhere, and he so far looked really good. But
yeah,
I don't know. His career has been very strange. I guess we give him the old talking about birds bump and hope that this goes well for him.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times where he looked like the next big thing in the Cardinals bullpen. So hopefully he can return to that lofty projection. We definitely could use it. Although I will say we're seeing a little bit more and more of Ryan Helsley
Yeah.
It seemed like he was barely being used despite his effectiveness. And seen a little bit more. Marmol spoke about his sort of usage of Helsley and how their biggest priority is keeping him healthy, which of course makes sense. He was basically utilized in the same way that you would utilize your closer in that last game. I think we might be seeing a bit of a committee here in the back
Yeah.
of the bullpen for who gets saves. Gallegos has had in one game he he blew the save in 2 pitches against Pete Alonso, and then in another game he went an inning and 2/3 and struck out all 5 of the people that he faced for the save. So we've gotten a full mixed bag of results from Gallegos. So I think they're going to play the matchups a little bit, not rely on Gallegos to be the closer. I think Helsley has a better profile for it anyway. I just look for opportunities to talk about Helsley because what he continues to do is remarkable.
Yeah, his FIP is no longer negative, but it is still sub 1, and he has actually still not given up a run.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
yeah, I
only 2
think
hits. He's given up 2 hits over 15 innings.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would be fine with him, taking over some closer roles. Fine with him doing multi-inning, getting the 1 through 6 guys. Like
Yeah.
use the kid, right? I think they're obviously showing some caution about using him because of the health concerns and so on and so forth. But yeah, if he's feeling healthy, I'm with you. Let's see that more and more.
Put him in, coach.
He looks so good that even him at
Yeah.
degraded performance is one of the better relievers in the league. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we want to just open up the floodgates and talk about the Cardinals pitching right now, but like you kind of alluded to, they need all the help they can possibly get there right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about why. And it's not just the rotation.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see, we're at that point of the season where injuries are happening and starting to compound a little bit. Tyler O'Neill still IL, not much of an update. Huge bummer, cornerstone of this team. Hopefully he can get back soon. But in the last week, 2 more pretty major injury updates or changes to the team. We already talked about Steven Matz. Pulled after 4 pitches. He's on the IL.
Shoulder impingement.
Yeah, it's. I guess that's not horrible. It could be worse. It's definitely I don't feel like I've heard of many shoulder impingements.
I had to Google it. Like, what
Yeah.
is an impingement?
It's when your shoulder's been pinged.
It's a painful condition caused by rubbing or pressure on a tendon, nerve, etc. by adjacent structures.
Ouch. Yeah, that sounds right. We knew that.
My bone is rubbing on my tendon too much, and now I'm impinged. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound good. And
Get those bones out of there.
Yeah, on the Mats thing, it's like it's obviously player health is very important to any team being good, but Mats has been so hit or miss that maybe a little time away is going to be a good thing for the team, especially why the offense is humming. Although I don't really like saying that out loud. I don't know what to make of Mats.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about him on this show, and it's like when he's on, he's great. That's what they signed him for. But when he's not, it's flat, and he's not going to beat you with velocity. So these guys just crush him. I don't know. I mean, sometimes that's such a big narrative thing, like time away. Some guys are going to come back from injury and be better than they ever were. Some guys no, it was not helpful to me that I missed a bunch of time because my shoulder was hurt. Hopefully we get the former and not the latter.
And to clear up my statement, I more meant like I wonder, was this a shoulder thing that wasn't feeling great in the early season, and he thought it was dead arm, and it was really this injury. I'm more hoping for a healthy. I don't think him like going and meditating is going to make his fastball play better or something. Just to be clear.
Maybe. I don't know. I wonder if he's tried it. The power of the human mind.
Yeah, elaborate on that.
we only use
what if there was a
20.
pill?
We've only, I want that pill. Yeah, so hopefully, it's not too bad. But this is the thing that we've been talking about from the beginning of our show, basically, is that really worried about pitching depth.
Yeah.
Sure, if everyone's healthy, this team has a full rotation. But here we go. We don't anymore. And with some of the struggles of other guys, the rotation is starting to look a little bit like the problems that we were worried about. And hopefully Liberatore can help, and maybe Rondon can help. But I think we're about to enter that period of the season where we're going to see a lot of different arms and a lot of different attempts to solve for that. The other
Dakota.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just real quick, a fun note. This isn't a fun note actually, but Dakota, Matz, and Hicks, their F WAR combined is 0.1.
Well, it could be worse.
It could be negative. Yes, that is how it could be worse.
They
it is very close
value
to just being 0. Yes.
Yeah. Not great. Not great from 3 of your 5 starters. The other big injury note from this week was Dylan Carlson, hamstring problem, big time bummer. He'd been really heating up, had been looking like one of the best bats in the lineup through most of May, and talk about a momentum killer.
And yeah, like I think you nailed it on the head though. It was him heating up, him taking the ball the other way, him hitting with some authority, and then it's a small tear in the hamstring. Tears are bad. I'll say
Not
that. The fact that they're not talking surgery is good. So hopefully, he's young. Hopefully, he's made of rubber and bounces back quickly. But it really puts a damper on this. When you have a shoulder or hip impingement for O'Neill, I can't even remember what it was. I think it was a different type of impingement, and then a hamstring tear, really makes your Gold Glove, speedy young outfield look not so much.
We got tears, we got impingements. Our birds' heads are falling off. Everything is falling apart.
You totally redeem yourself.
So, this does open the door for Donovan to continue to play. Obviously, we would much rather have Carlson out there, but I guess it could be worse. We'll see more Nootbaar. The Corey Dickerson experiment continues despite results. But if these outfielders keep getting hurt, it's like you got to have someone out there. So I guess it makes sense. But Burleson has been crushing it in the minors.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful. Like, let's just keep this train rolling. Get Dickerson out of here. Let's get Burleson out there. Let's go full Memphis Redbirds with Goldie and Arenado in the middle of them, and I guess Edman as well.
How did Memphis ever lose a game when they were all down there? I mean, the way these guys are playing is unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention Ivan Herrera called up too.
Ivan Herrera, major league debut. That's very exciting.
Yeah. Likely future, starting shortstop, starting catcher for the Cardinals, the heir to Yadier Molina.
I was reading a prospect write-up that basically said something to the extent of, finally the Cardinals have a replacement for Yadi, and I was just thinking, oh, Kinzer we like him. He's good.
Yeah, it's got to be rough to be Kisner. Everyone has been talking about Herrera, and he's like, but I'm here. Look at me, guys.
I'm pretty good.
We like him, but I do think, with the more exposure that we've seen with him, like, you can see why he's not necessarily considered like he's our starting catcher going forward. He's been good. I think he calls a good game. He looks good back there, but like,
I expected him to be hitting the ball a lot harder than he has been, especially with the extended time he's been getting. He's, for such a big, strong dude that had pretty good power numbers in the minors, he's a bit of a slapper. And maybe that's because he's not starting regularly or as regularly as he wants to, but yeah, it definitely some to be desired. I more just found that funny. It's like, damn, even in the prospect write-up, Kinzer's getting a little bit of shade thrown at him.
Yeah. So we probably still won't see a lot of Herrera. Frankly, hopefully we don't see a lot of Herrera this season. But Yachty went on the bereavement list. Everyone speculated wildly about what that means. Then we found out that it was, there was a lot of speculation about Yachty and correlation to him being late to spring training with all of this. Turns out that his son hurt his arm and needed surgery, and Yachty went down to be there with him, which is great. Good for Yachty.
Yeah, the Bird Squad went into full investigative journalism mode. What the hell's going on here?
Clearly, this is connected to why he was gone at the beginning of spring training. And it's like, no, they're just allowing him to be a good dad. It's like, okay, great. Good for him and good for the Cardinals. So we wish his son a speedy recovery and Yachty to come back and Herrera get the continued time to develop in the minors. But it's still fun to see him. I guess finally, a couple other updates. Let's do the you want to do the sad one or the good one?
Well, let's end on a good note.
Okay. Yeah.
So Alex Reyes is the bad one, which I'll take. Alex Reyes is officially scheduled to get another surgery. It's a shoulder surgery, which is apparently hard for me to say. It's going to be his third major surgery in 5 years, which is obviously a big problem. We had Tommy John. Then the lat muscle, which became dislodged from his bone, that one just really trips me up.
You got to get rid of those bones. That's what I'm saying. I think if we got rid of our bones, there'd be a lot less of these bone-related injuries.
Yeah. Smart. You should be a doctor.
I am
from
a doctor.
What Ali and the team are saying, that if we see Reyes pitch in any capacity for the rest of this year, that would be not a miracle, but highly unlikely. So this pretty much pushes him back to next spring training.
Yep. And here we go again.
And I mean, yeah, we were talking about this a while back on the Meet Me at Musial with C70. Like that clock is just running and running and running. I wonder, is he ever going to have a real season with the Cardinals where he's healthy the whole time on the big league team? I don't know. It sucks, but yeah, let's move off of that and talk about something a little more positive.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about how rough the rotation is starting to look, and maybe there's some reinforcements in sight. Jack Flaherty is scheduled to face live batters. I guess it would be Thursday, so the day that this releases. Hopefully everything continues to go well. So far, his recovery has been essentially what was projected, which is a good thing. So we could reasonably see him back within a few weeks.
And, as you like to say, Nate, that's just like making a big trade
it's like
or
making a big trade.
Agent.
It's my favorite thing. I love it when my single favorite thing is when the Cardinals rely on injured players coming back rather than solving through other means. It's like making a big trade. I mean, what would you give up right now for Jack Flaherty?
A lot.
Yeah. Right. And that's what's about.
An injured Jack Flaherty, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
A healthy Jack Flaherty, a lot. Yeah. I think to kind of put a pin on this pitching conversation, which has been fairly negative, I do think that there are signs to be encouraged about. I think that we have not seen Matt's level out to be not even necessarily the best he's ever been, but his ERA is 6.03 right now, and his xERA and his FIP are multiple runs lower than that. So he's gotten some bad luck. Jordan Hicks can't find the strike zone. If he can find the strike zone, he will be a much better pitcher. And Dakota Hudson is still coming back from injury. So I think there are things to be encouraged by. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but I think you can also look at those things through a positive light and look at how those are going to improve, while also banging the drum very hard that the Cardinals should look for outside help. And, Liberatore is, I think, a step in the right direction because he has upside. And, if that guy can come up and even throw 100 or so innings of 4 ERA baseball, that's very good. And the Cardinals could use that right now.
Right.
But there are teams out there that are tanking. There are available starting pitchers. And I think even somebody who doesn't slot into the top of the rotation would do very, very, or would help the Cardinals out quite a bit right now. So you can do both, right? You can play, you can talk out of both sides of your mouth, I think, on that one.
Yeah. And, if we're going to continue to talk about what's going well, I mean, Michaelis is
Yeah.
having the season of his career, right? Huge part of why the Cardinals are succeeding so far this season. Wainwright's doing his thing, you know. So and the bullpen is incredible, constantly fantastic. There's just this sticky little issue of over half of your rotation not being very effective.
Yeah.
So
Hey, the Rays make that work almost every year. So maybe the
good
Cardinals
point.
can even find a way. And, it's also, there are other names out there in the bullpen that have been maybe a little bit less consistent that I think
Yeah,
once they kind of figure out their early season, early career struggles, we can expect more things out of them. I think, Palante being one of those who has shown signs of being the most unhittable pitcher I've ever seen to being extremely hittable.
yeah.
And other names out there. Woodford's been also pretty good, and we already talked about Helsley, and maybe Fernandez. Maybe there's some lightning in a bottle there.
Yeah, the only guy in the bullpen that I really have not been super excited about and don't really see the upside to is TJ McFarland. And I don't want to kick a guy while he's down. Obviously, he's got almost 7.5 ERA and a nearly 6 FIP. So it's not even just bad luck. He's just not pitching well. They're using him where you use a guy like that. We're really only seeing him when we're down by a lot or up by a lot, but like he's giving up runs almost every single time he's out there. And seems like maybe Fernandez is coming up to try to replace that leak in the bullpen.
I don't like to say this kind of thing either because I don't think it's very fair, especially from me sitting in my cushy little basement talking on my cushy little
Right.
microphone. But the guy seems cooked. I'm not saying his career is done or anything like that, but he does not seem to have major league pitching appearances in him right now as he is currently constructed or whatever you want to say. I think it would make sense to even, put him down or do something with him and have almost
Put
anyone
him
else come up.
down.
Put him down in the minor leagues, or I assume that he
I really don't like to be the one, but I think we should execute him.
I think
Yeah.
No, he's been bad, but he hasn't been that bad.
Oh, yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
looking
like
at
Packy,
career
I'd rather
numbers.
watch Packy
Yeah.
pitch than
Who?
TJ. Packy Norton.
Packy. Yeah, well, and looking at McFarland's career, he had a good little run across 56 or 38 innings with the Cardinals last year, which is what resulted in him coming back. But this guy has had a 4 or 5 FIP, most of his seasons in his career. So this might just be who he is. Don't want to kick a guy while he's down. Unlike Ben, I don't want him murdered. But it does seem like he stands out in an otherwise stellar bullpen.
Yeah, I think, if you could put money on this in Vegas, which you probably can, like the first person to be dropped from, like the first person who broke camp who will be dropped off the team entirely, probably him. And then I guess I'd put a little small wager on Corey Dickerson too.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, anything else pitching related you want to talk about?
No, I just, I just want Jay Flair to do his thing. And, we talked about it earlier. Let's see what Liberatore's got in start number 2. I think it sounds like we're going to see that relatively soon. And I think we all watch that and, you can properly raise your expectations on the second start.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, we still have a bunch of stuff to talk about for around the league, and we'll end with a little game. But before we go to that, I want to remind everybody that this show is supported by Patreon. If you enjoy the show, want to support its growth, and become a part of the Bird Scored, our private Discord server where we talk about the Cardinals, dig deep into investigative journalism, post pictures of the games that we're at. It's slowly growing and we're having a good time in there. We'd love to have you a part of it. go to patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. All members at any level get invited to our bird scored. We're considering other features to add as well as it grows. Definitely looking for ideas if anyone has any on that too. Speaking of which, shout out to Akira, our newest patron. Thanks for joining. We appreciate your support. If you want to support the show in other ways, consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast app. It does help. It helps us show up when people search for things like Cardinal podcasts and whatnot. And it makes us feel good. You know, we love it.
That's real.
And we'll read it on the show. We'll read your name and, we'll say thank you because we truly do appreciate it. Everyone that has, or if you're thinking about it, we really do appreciate it. So, Ben, why don't you tell everyone where people can find us elsewhere online?
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds if you're not already doing that, and join us in the game time conversations and all that good stuff. You can follow us on Instagram at Talking About Birds on Instagram. You can also send us questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, questions about Nate's personal life that range from grilling. And I think we were talking about you sous vide your bratwurst last time. I don't have any other fun facts. We just spent some time together, so that gives me a little bit more ammo. But trying to think, he's a bad fisherman.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bad friend.
Yeah, that one I'll own.
I saw I saw him. It wasn't a screaming match, but him and a boomer were arguing about the quality of today's music as opposed to the music of yesteryear.
Don't get me started on that.
He will defend that quite honorably. And again, all those questions can go to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And again, like Nate said, we appreciate all the interaction that we get with the people in the little community, and we appreciate everything. Thank you. Oh,
yeah.
Tell your friends, and remember to steal people's phones and just subscribe to our podcast on their phones.
Yeah. That is truly the best way to support us. Juice those numbers. Okay, so
what we should do is we should go to
what?
Best Buy and the Apple Store and just subscribe all of those devices to the podcast. That's I should have said that off pod, but that's 4D chess right there.
Yeah. I don't think those demo phones have. Okay, I'll be quiet.
It's a good plan.
If you work at a Best Buy or an Apple Store, tweet us with pictures of you subscribing to. Wow. All right, let's talk about the broader league. Few updates. Ben, what do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, I think we'll talk about some. I would say this is pretty big news for the Central. This is definitely the biggest injury the Central has had outside of a Cardinals uniform. We were just talking about Jack Flaherty and some of the things that are going on with the Cardinals, but Freddie Peralta, one of the big 3 or 4 at this point. I mean, the Brewers have great pitching, but it looks like Freddie Peralta is going to be out for a while. Looks like he's got a shoulder strain, which we can assume is some type of tear. And Craig Counsell said that it's going to be out for significant time. As a rule, this podcast doesn't want any baseball player to get injured or deal with anything like this. And I don't want to celebrate in this by any means, but I do think it's really important. This is kind of what we're saying and arguing about. The Brewers are obviously very talented. It almost all comes from their pitching. I do think that if you could criticize the Brewers, they are heavily reliant on 3 players being as healthy as possible, and they don't have a lot underneath that. So, again, not happy to see this. Baseball's better with Freddie Peralta and his ridiculous breaking balls that break space and time. But this is a chink in the armor and maybe an opportunity for the Cardinals to do something with their, it's one of those injuries that can affect their bullpen. It'll obviously affect their starting rotation. And, I think that, you could criticize the Brewers for having a little bit of early season luck as far as their scheduling and their run scoring and everything like that. So I guess we'll see how impactful this will actually be and how long Freddie will actually be out.
Yeah, the Brewers had the easiest schedule in all of major leagues to start the season. They played, I think it was in the first month and a half, they played 1 series against an above 500 team, and that was the Cardinals.
Right.
And it was, and we split the series with them. So it's about to become a bigger test for the Brewers. And I am a big believer in that the Brewers are a very good team. I don't think that's a crazy stretch. But I think it's things like this are going to be what opens the door for the Cardinals to possibly win the division. I've said it on the show already that like I think the Brewers, this far into the season are the favorite for the division, but it losing Peralta is pretty big, and it could only take one more either injury or you know step into ineffectiveness as they start to play actually good teams for me to really switch my thinking on that. You know, but Peralta was what, maybe their number 3, which is just a signal of how good their rotation is. And Eric Lauer now, suddenly looks as good as any of them. So they still have a really good rotation.
Oh, and also, yeah, I will just talk about the whole damn rotation because Adrian Hauser is having a year where it seems like he has maybe figured out how to actually get
Yeah.
guys out other than just throwing that sinker. And Brandon Woodruff, who is, I would have said probably the best player on the Brewers before Corbin Burns' breakout
Right.
last year, hasn't even
Yeah.
really kicked it into gear. So, yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. This does not mean that the Brewers are on easy mode or that any team is going to have an easy time going in there and beating them. But the team is
But
built up
yeah.
about one thing, and we'll see. This is one of those injuries that, well, yeah, it's noteworthy. Is I guess really all I
Yeah.
mean.
No, I think absolutely. And like we said, this is the sort of stuff that is going to open the door for the Cardinals in an otherwise, matchup that I think the Brewers kind of outweigh them. But uh, yeah, so we'll see. Definitely something to monitor. What else we got?
Yeah, another just exciting thing around the league. Number one prospect in baseball got called up, which is just exciting. Especially, we've been talking birds all year. Talk about more birds. Adley Rutschman is up, number one prospect, switch hitting catcher. At least Orioles fans have something to cheer about. I'm excited
Yeah,
about it. There was a fun video going around about him getting his call up. I definitely have watched some of his ABs already. I don't really, I'm not going to say I'm some like scout or prospect pro or anything like that, but just excited to have him up. That's always, a fun day in
yeah.
baseball when the number one guy's up.
Well, it's been a whole season now of top prospects being called up.
Yeah,
Going into the season, you could basically take your pick of Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt Jr., or Adley Rutschman as the number one prospect in baseball. It just kind of depends on what flavor of prospect you like. And with Witt and Julio being called up, Adley was the obvious next number one prospect in baseball. And now he's here. We're seeing a whole new guard of these young guys, and Rodriguez and Witt are doing pretty well. Julio looks like he's already figured out the league and is
that
crushing
dude.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm a
insane.
very big Julio Rodriguez fan.
Yeah,
I think he is fantastic.
yeah. And I think we all hope for the Orioles that Adley is as good as advertised. Uh,
They need
you know,
something.
they need something. Well, we covered them in our talking about other bird segment. Their lineup is not horrible. So if you add in something like Adley, which what a ringing endorsement, not
Yeah.
horrible. But adding in Adley, all of a sudden, if he is good, then that lineup gets even deeper. If he is as good as people think he could be, like their lineup could be legit, within this year or next if some of these guys continue to progress like they're looking
Yeah.
like they're just pitching is still absolute trash and they're going to be bad. But still, it's fun.
Yeah. And my favorite flavor of prospect, by the way, mint chocolate
Yeah.
chip. Um, yeah, I
Ooh,
know. I
yeah.
thought that would deflate you a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mint chocolate chip. Is that your I'm not a big mint chocolate chip guy.
Stupid. Bad take.
No. It's just my opinion, man.
There's this new gelato place by my house that has
Yeah.
it's a gooey butter cake gelato. Little slice of home there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all right. The brand is expanding.
I
Gooey
asked
butter cake gelato.
I
That
asked
has
that.
to
I was like, is
be
Is this a St. Louis thing? Is
heavy.
somebody here from St. Louis? And they looked at me like I was speaking a different language. I had no idea what I was
Wow.
talking about. So yeah.
So you flip over the ice cream
Yeah. I
uh,
shoved one of their hands in the waffle
freezer.
iron. Yep.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Know
It
your
was on the news.
roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they deserved it.
Yeah.
They deserve to be put down.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, not a big mint chocolate. Anyway, so we'll see how he does, but I guess what looks like we've got just a little bit more to talk about.
Yeah.
This next topic, you lead into it.
I'm happy to talk about it because I do think it's important. I think it's we'll just talk about it. Tim Anderson, Josh Donaldson. If you haven't been paying attention to the news that's been going on here, an incident happened where Josh Donaldson and Tim Anderson were close to each other. Josh Donaldson called Tim Anderson Jackie, referencing Jackie Robinson. And Tim Anderson did not take kindly to that. And so that's kind of blown up in a way. Blown up is an unfair word. I will say that has become a story because of the way that Tim Anderson's team and TLR, Tony La Russa specifically, have rallied around him. And of course, it's one of those weird conversations that I'm not sure we're the most qualified people to talk about it, but I do think it's important to talk about. And seeing everyone else's reaction, I think, has been really interesting. And I think perception is really all that matters here. And I think everyone's allowed to have their own opinion on where this comes down. But what the aspect of it that I find most interesting, and probably the only aspect of it that's really within our wheelhouse, is Manfred's decision to give Josh Donaldson a 1-game suspension. And I should actually correct myself because something that we hate Manfred, and Manfred decided to not actually take a part in this suspension process. He passed it off to 2 of his underlings and essentially stayed out of it. They decided to go with a 1-game suspension, which I have a problem with because my thought on this is either it was a racist comment or it wasn't a racist comment. So it was either he was being, there's something about just being a dick on the ball field and saying something about somebody's mother or sister or a family member or whatever it might be, or trying to dig at them and then making a comment about their race. So the comment was either about race or it wasn't. And what I just find interesting, and again, I don't think that these are 1-to-1, but a few years ago, Yuli Gurriel made a kind of racist hand gesture with it towards his eyes, making fun of an Asian player. And that he got 5 games for that and took his 5 games. Josh Donaldson, if this is being perceived as a racist act, only got 1 game. He is appealing that 1 game rather than taking it, which I guess I do understand to some degree. But it's such a weird way for the MLB to handle this, especially around somebody who is the most important baseball player of all time, being Jackie Robinson. I know that obviously Jackie Robinson isn't directly involved in this. I'm not an insane person, but I don't know. That's just kind of my point of view on this. I also would like to point out that my opinion is, everyone's can have their own opinion, but that's the way I'm reading the situation. And like I said, I find Manfred's position to be particularly spineless. He's normally spineless, and this is just more in that direction.
Yeah. So are you saying that he should have been suspended 5, like Yuli?
Well, like I said, if MLB had determined that this was a racist action, then yes, go. The president was set a few years ago. Do that. Let him appeal it. Have it drop down to 2 or 3, or however that arbitration process goes. If it wasn't a racist thing, then it wasn't a racist thing, and he was just being a dick. And there's nothing. And there's MLB doesn't seem to have a problem with people yelling at each other as long as they're not evoking something that's along these lines. So it just seems to be so wishy-washy that I don't understand. And when you have people like Tony La Russa, who has been in the game for 1 billion years, come out and say so strongly what he felt was a racist comment, just answer. If it is, it was. Punish him. If it wasn't, don't. Answer the freaking bell is all I'm asking. And I don't like the half in, half out take that Rob Manfred is doing. I find that to be despicable a little bit. Maybe that's too strong of a word. I don't like it. I don't like him.
Yeah. I mean, you're what you're you're trying to say Manfred has been inconsistent and shown little leadership through challenging moments?
Yes, I
Now,
am.
frankly, sir, I refuse to believe, and I'm offended. No, I agree completely, and I will say what Josh Donaldson did was bullshit, and I believe that it was racist, and he should be suspended for the full amount like Yuli was. So I don't have a problem sharing my opinion on it. But yeah, if from a rules and like punishment standpoint, um, yeah, it should be consistent. And I guess I was pleased with the overall response as far as the rallying around Tim Anderson and the
Yeah.
team. What a just a bullshit thing to say to him, and what a shit, like, Josh Donaldson sucks. He keeps getting caught up in these things where it's like, you are just a
Yeah.
awful dude, like, man, that guy sucks.
And I think the thing that really sucks about this whole situation is that now Tim Anderson, who is awesome,
Yeah,
I like such
a
a fun
star
player
of
to
the
watch.
league.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like just a cool. I don't know. I just like the way he plays and everything.
yeah.
Now he is, Josh Donaldson sitting over in the Yankees dugout. Actually, he has COVID right now, so Josh Donaldson is sitting at home. Whoops. A little karma there, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact that Tim Anderson now has to sit there and answer questions about how did that make you feel, and then the Yankees stadium, the fans doing the Jackie chant at him. That's the part that really pisses me off. Is like, obviously Tim
Yeah,
Anderson is a big guy. He can handle himself. He'll be all right. But the fact that this is now a thing that's orbiting him and surrounding him is
it
bullshit.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how you could call it anything other than at least racially charged, if not just directly racist. So, I agree with you. I don't want to get too far because I don't think that you and I are necessarily the most qualified
No.
people to
No.
share our opinions on that. So I don't want to go too far. Although I think I've made myself, maybe I've already, maybe already made my opinion pretty clear on this situation. But yeah, it's for as big as it was, you'd think there would have been a more clear punishment. So
Yeah, I
frustrating,
thought
and just a bad moment for baseball, and a bad moment for Tim Anderson, and it sucks.
one thing I think it was Liam. We can move on after this, but one thing that I thought was pretty good that came out of this was Liam Hendricks, the closer for the White Sox, when Josh Donaldson used the defense of it being an inside joke. Liam said that aren't inside jokes usually something you do with people that you like, and I just thought that was pretty
Yeah,
clever
what
and pretty
inside?
spot
How
on.
could you an inside joke that Tim Anderson has no idea what you're talking about?
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's an
think
inside joke between me and all my other friends.
Josh Donaldson, like Michael Scott, has never actually been a part of an inside joke, but hopes to one day.
All right. Well, yeah, let's move on. Hopefully this story just ends and Tim Anderson doesn't have to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
And cool. Well, so let's move into something a little more cheery.
More frivolous.
Let's do something that truly does not matter.
Yeah.
And I got a good one for that today. So, uh, it's actually fitting with how the conversation has gone. We've talked about ice cream already today. We have talked about like bratwurst and fish. We've talked about food. I feel like we talk about food a lot. Before we were recording, Ben was telling me about a sandwich that he got called the Matt Cain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
So
sandwich by a guy who runs a sandwich shop that's a big Giants fan, and yeah, he's got the Hunter Pence, he's got the Matt Cain, he's got the Madison Bumgarner. I'm with the Matt Cain today.
um, do you? We've talked about this. I have a standing invite to go down to Houston, Texas, and play Dungeons and Dragons with Hunter Pence.
Yet you haven't done it yet.
Well, it's been hard to schedule, but he
I
plays
have a
with a
wife and
friend.
kids and a family and a life.
It's
Nobody
actually
cares, Nate.
Molly has been incredibly supportive of me dropping everything and going down to play D&D with Hunter Pence. It's just, he does. It doesn't happen a lot, but
Yeah.
he is a co-owner of a games bar and restaurant down in Houston. He is a big video gamer and board gamer and stuff, and one of the co-hosts of my other podcast, my video game one, is like a lives right next to this place and spends a bunch of time there. And he runs D&D and Magic the Gathering for 100 pence on occasion. And if I go there, I'll play with him, and I will someday.
It'll be the biggest flex in podcast history. You need to do that.
I never thought my baseball and video game podcasts would overlap, but here we are. It'll be very funny when we've talked about having him as a guest on the video game podcast. So it's going to be awesome when we have Hunter Pence as a guest. He actually has agreed to it, but it's even harder to schedule him on our podcast because he's a wealthy, famous person.
Yeah.
So unlike let's go to non-wealthy famous people, you and me, we both like food. And so this is a return of our ballpark food related segment called League Choose.
League Choose.
Mm.
All right, I have a list in front of me, Ben. This was a part of Cut 4, the sort of like subsidiary of MLB.com.
They're baseball coverage, but they're a little kooky,
they're a little
fun.
Kooky. It's their like pop culture, take on baseball writing. And the name of this article is Every Ballpark Concession Staple Ranked. So last time we did this, we looked at like a list of top 10 wackiest food items at the ballpark. It's where we learned about Little Buds.
The foul pole.
The foul pole, yeah. This is sort of the opposite. So this is this writer, Chris Landers. This is their ranking of the deliciousness of ballpark staples. Okay. So the assumption is something that you could get at every ballpark.
Okay.
What are the most delicious things? So I'm gonna I've got the list here. I want to see how many you can get in the top 10.
Are beverages included, or are these food items only?
This is food items only.
Okay. So
and I will tell you,
an ice cold Budweiser.
No. I will tell you that the writer, Chris, he had a little fun with this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So
is there a picture of him? Is he a big boy? Is he a little boy? I need to know what kind of who I'm working with here.
The image on the article is a
does he have cheese on his face?
Cartoon hot dog. There is no picture. There is no picture of Chris Landers.
I hope hot dog wasn't eating a hot dog.
Yeah. I will not try to find this man and give you a physical.
I'm just being stupid. Don't find him.
Okay, so your goal is to get the items on the list. I want to see how many you get, before you strike out. So.
Okay, my number one pick, and I think this should be obvious. We've talked about it on this pod many times. Nachos Supreme, number one overall pick. Easy, book it.
It's on the list, but it's number 9.
Number 9.
This is when I got angry.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, this is Chris's opinion.
You woke up mad today.
I've been livid.
You guys can't see it, but Nate has been stabbing a pencil into his leg this whole podcast.
Yeah, steam's coming out my ears.
Okay.
I'm going full cartoon over here.
All right, number 9. And was it Nacho Supreme? Do I get to ask any qualifiers?
It just says nachos.
Wow. But
the list is both oddly specific at times and incredibly generic at times.
Okay.
So
I'm going to call
nachos.
This Chris guy sucks. My second pick is going to be, so it's specific sometimes, but it's not specific sometimes. I'm going to go with a foot-long hot dog.
All right, hot dog, number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they do footlongs in Busch? I can't remember.
I think you can get a foot long.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. How is a hot dog or nachos not number 1? Okay. My next pick. How about a soft pretzel with cheese?
Pretzel. I'm going Family Feud rules here. So
Okay.
it just says pretzel is number 2.
Number 2. Okay. This Chris guy sucks. I'm just going to say that again. All right. I'll go. This one's low hanging fruit. Give me a bratwurst. Show me bratwurst.
Swing and a miss. Bratwurst,
Really?
not on the list.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I've been to a baseball game before. How about cotton candy?
Cotton candy coming in at number 11.
Really?
Yes.
I'm starting to think this person's never been to a baseball game before. Okay, here. This is a gimme. Cracker Jacks.
Nice. I didn't think you were going to get that one. Who thinks of Cracker Jacks? That's number 6.
Okay. At Coors Field during the 7th inning stretch, the announcers or the broadcasters all throw out like bags and bags of Cracker Jacks at the people below them. It's kind of fun.
Okay.
And also the song, it's everyone's singing about Cracker Jacks.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. What the hell is number 1? Am I gonna punch myself am I gonna be mad at myself for not getting this first one? I feel like, how have I not gotten it already?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Depends on how you guess.
All right. Since I have no faith in this Chris guy, I'm going to say pizza.
Pizza is not on the list.
I think I was trying to play the game a little too much. One
more strike. Although I will say that you're in an okay ballpark, if you will, when you start thinking about food items like pizza.
Okay, ballpark when I start thinking about food items like pizza. What kind of crazy sentence is that? Okay, food items like pizza.
It was a perfectly constructed sentence.
Okay, it doesn't help me though. Food items like pizza. Food items like pizza are like calzones and breadsticks. I don't think breadsticks are.
I don't mean. Yeah, this is just striking from the record.
Okay. Are you talking about Italian food? What kind of Italian food is?
Just stop. Just don't think about my perfect hint.
Completely disregard the hint I gave you. Okay.
Yeah. But you have one more shot before I'm calling it.
Okay. What? Oh, wait. Okay. Ballpark. This is tough. I'm going to say ice cream.
Right when you said that, it's like a book just fell off my shelf. There's a ghost. Yes.
Mint chocolate chip. Yes.
All right. So here is where you're gonna give the game away a little bit as far as how annoying this list is. Coming in at number 7, soft serve in anything other than a commemorative plastic helmet.
Wait, he's saying the commemorative plastic helmet is bad?
For this ranking, number 7 is soft serve in anything other than a commemorative plastic helmet.
I am on 10 now. That is that might be the dumbest take I've ever heard.
What's your opinion on the plastic helmet?
It's good. Why do you not want the plastic helmet? It's fun. Then you get to put it on your hat when you're done. Like put it on your head and you put it on your friend's head and it's
fucking gross milk all over you. No one's putting that on their head after you're done eating it.
Well, when I'm done with a little ice cream, there's nothing left in there other than, maybe a slight amount of residue, but I'm licking that baby clean.
Well, look, okay, there are going to be things that you and I agree on and things that we disagree on, okay? But for me, a spit and milk-filled little plastic hat, not generally something I'm putting on my head.
Fair enough, but when we're going to the game together, that's not a choice that you're making. I'm making that choice for you, is what I'm getting at.
Well, at least let it be my own spit if you're going to make me do it.
All right.
This is stupid. So you got number 7. So you're missing number 1, 4, 5, 8, and 10. And think about some of the things you've said recently and some of your rants. You're very close to things.
Some of my rants. I don't rant. Everything I say is thought.
I feel like you just ranted.
Was I ranting?
What
was I?
Rant?
Okay. French fries.
French fries are not on the list. You're out.
I'm
All
about
right.
to.
Yeah. So going from the bottom up, sunflower seeds, number 12.
Tastiest, really? Those are just like a masticating device.
Oh, a masticating device. You don't eat them to chew. It's more of like a salty absorption. Yeah. All right. Number 11, cotton candy. Here's one you missed. Number 10, hamburger. Number 9,
really?
Nachos. Number 8, cheeseburger. Number 7, soft serve in anything other than a commemorative plastic helmet.
Ugh.
Number 6, Cracker Jack. Number 5, chicken fingers. Number 4, peanuts. You got half the song. You did Cracker Jacks. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I thought for sure you were going to get peanuts.
I'll wear that one. That was stupid.
3, hot dog. 2, pretzel. Number 1, soft serve in a commemorative plastic helmet.
Oh,
He agrees with you.
I am livid. I've never been more mad. Okay, can we end the show? I am pissed.
I think we should. I think we have to. But he agrees with you.
What did I say? Did I just say ice cream?
You just said ice cream.
Okay.
So I took that as not in a commemorative plastic helmet, which I think is fair.
I am truly beside myself. I don't know if I've ever been more mad. I almost said Dippin' Dots because that's kind of a baseball stadium staple, but
I might have given you that for ice cream. Although he says specifically soft serve, which that is not.
Yeah, you read. I heard it loud and clear on your stupid list.
I will also, I will explain what I meant when I said the food is like that. When you said pizza, I feel like pizza, hamburgers, and chicken tenders are all like in a class of food. You know what I mean?
I guess. What is?
I don't know what.
Yeah,
like casual.
Sure.
I'm out at a game or like at a bar, and I'm they've got pizza and hamburgers and chicken fingers. Like those are often all on the. If one's on the menu, a lot of times the other ones are as well. Maybe not necessarily hamburger, but like, I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm fine with everything he said. But as soon as you
started thinking like calzones and other Italian food, like, oh no, don't think that way. Think a different way.
Yeah. I think that I'm mad about the ice cream. I'm really mad about the position of nachos on the list. I'm mad about a lot of things there. But I guess I'll onward and upward.
Yep. Well, we can only go up from here. So
all-time low.
This is an all-time low. At least for you. For me, I'm doing great. I come out of this clean. Yeah. All right. So that'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you all again for your support and for listening and for making it this far into such stupidity. Reach out for questions, comments, ideas for the show. We always love to hear it. We'll be back next week, same time with another episode. And until then, go Cardinals.
Team Nachos.
I'm Team Nachos too.